Thank you for the... Thank you for the burst of color under the slate gray skies of New York tonight. Thank you so much.
Energy.
Now, we just had a 2-week break.
That's right.
And it's lovely to be back with all these people. And one of the things, as nice it is to go on break and be away, whenever I'm back here, I realize what a pleasure and a privilege it is to share the stage with you all over there. It's amazing to hear what you guys do every night.
About everybody here. It's amazing.
And I'm curious, did you have any New Year's resolutions?
You know, I was thinking about that. The last couple of years, I haven't had one. I'm just trying to always be better. So
Constant.
I don't just...
Every day's a new year.
Every day. But did you make any New Year's resolutions?
I made the same one this year that I made last year, is that I was dry January. That's what I was doing.
Yes.
Not a whole year, like, let me just get through January. Right. And I made it last year, and I was damn serious about it for 6 days. And then something happened on January 6th, and dry January just went out the window. I'm gonna make it this time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it at least a 7 this time. Folks, my first guest tonight is an infectious disease expert and the director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Please welcome to The Late Show, Dr. Rochelle Walensky. So nice to have you on. Thanks for taking the time to be up here. I know you must be very busy these days.
It's not boring. I'm delighted to be here, though.
I'm sure it's not. Now, you are the director for Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, previously chief of Infectious Diseases Division at Mass General, Harvard Medical School professor, also at the NIH. We hear so many, abbreviations and acronyms these days having to do with our own health. CDC, FDA, NIH. What does the CDC specifically do? What's the mission of the organization?
To protect America's health. And that's what we do through public health, through our state and local jurisdictions, through recommendations and guidance as to how to protect your health, not just through COVID, but through outbreak investigations, through salt prevention and salt intake and hypertension, through opioid crises. So we work locally with the public health departments and jurisdictions, and then we provide evidence and guidance to protect America's health 24/7.
Well, so here it is, 2022. We're going into year 3, if you count the end of 19, technically year 4, calendar year at least, of COVID. Where are we with this disease? We were having a little debate during the monologue. Is Omicron the 5th wave?
Yeah, I think we probably can count the first 2 waves as either 1 or 2. We had sort of what happened in New York and Boston and the East Coast, and then that sort of moved over throughout the country in the summer. And then, of course, we had the Alpha wave and then the Delta wave, and here we are in the Omicron wave. Okay,
so Omicron showed up beginning of December, essentially.
Here in the beginning of December, we started hearing about it around Thanksgiving.
Okay. What does a month or a month and a half of data tell us about the severity of Omicron? If you get it, and let's say you're not vaccinated, I'm triple vaxxed and all that kind of stuff. What if just somebody who hadn't decided to get vaccinated and just sort of, you might say, just hits that Omicron raw dog? What happens there? What are we learning?
So severity comes in 2 different ways, like how many people do you expect to be infected, how transmissible is it, and then how severe is it in any given person.
All right, so start with the transmissibility.
Much more transmissible than our prior variants.
Even the Delta?
Even the
Which
Delta
was much more transmissible itself?
Than Alpha, indeed. So
like exponentially so?
2 to 3 times so, and so really a transmissible variant. And so when we talk about severity, we talk about just the sheer volume and number of cases that we've seen in other countries in South Africa and UK. and we have now started to see here in this country.
Do we know why it's more transmissible?
You know, likely related to how well and tightly it binds to our receptors. It's had numerous mutations on that binding protein and how well it can and tightly can bind to our receptors in our nose.
Does it reproduce in us faster? Does it actually make more of itself so you're getting more of a load when we talk to each other?
It can, but that actually gets to the next question, which is does it seem to be a little bit less severe in any given individual?
Based on what? Seem is the word that I'm interested in.
Well, we're starting to see data from South Africa, from the UK, who are a little bit ahead of us, that their hospitalization rates did not rise as much, that their death rates did not rise as much as they've seen in prior waves, that they haven't actually used as much oxygen, that their length of stay was a little bit shorter in the hospitals. So it does seem like what they're seeing in the hospitals is less severe in any given patient.
Does that have anything to do with South Africa's population being on average younger than ours by a considerable measure, and the fact that it's summer there and not going into winter?
So those are all things that we're taking into consideration. Right, they have had less vaccination than we have. They haven't yet boosted. But in fact, they've had a lot of background immunity because they've had some pretty severe waves previously and many people who have infected. So how well we can take the data from South Africa and be sure we can apply them here is a little bit unclear. But we're starting to see similar things here. Huge amounts of cases, as you've noted, and yet our hospitalizations, while they're increased in hospitalization rates, not at the rate we had started to see with Alpha and Delta at this time.
So we're having these massive hospitalizations here, not because it is more virulent, but necessarily because there's just so many more cases.
That's what we're anticipating, and that's what we're worried about. We haven't seen a ton of massive increases in hospitalizations. We've seen some of that in the Midwest, but we haven't seen it to the extent that we would have.
The media wants me to believe that, though, because I'm seeing a lot of reports of, like, systems crashing and we're overwhelmed. And is that just in isolated places that are being presented as if they represent the face of the entire United States?
I believe that there are places that are in hard times. There's no question, but there's also still a lot of Delta out there.
Oh, okay. So we might. So it's not like Omicron comes in and kicks Delta out immediately. We're in a hybrid situation.
We are currently in a hybrid situation, and in fact, hospitalizations are about 2 weeks behind what we generally see in cases. So we still may be seeing some of what's happened with Delta, and that many of those cases in the hospital may still be Delta cases.
Based on previous experience, after the holidays, so everybody gets together for Christmas and perhaps New Year's, when would we see the real spike in people coming down with this?
A week or two.
Okay.
Yeah, a week or two.
We have to take a quick break, but stick around. We'll be right back with more CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky.